Hi, everybody. This week we're going to be working on the court case Plessy versus Ferguson using a research database. Go over these directions with you actually as we go along. When we get into the database, you'll see at the top there is a bar here. So if you want it to read aloud to you, you can click on this because there is some reading that needs to be done. At the bottom, there's a translate button. So if you speak another language and you want that translated for you, this is the button that you would choose. So let's go ahead and get started. Basically, the issue with Plessy versus Ferguson is this. In 1892, Homer Plessy, a man who was 1/8 Black, was arrested for violating the Separate Car Act, a Louisiana law that required whites and blacks to sit in separate railroad cars. Plessy sued, arguing that the law was racially discriminatory and violated both the 13th and 14th Amendments to the Constitution. Here's your question. The case of Plessy versus Ferguson came before the U.S. Supreme Court in 1896. Did having to use separate accommodations violate Plessy's rights under the Constitution? Or was such a requirement justified as a reasonable use of Louisiana's police powers? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at a timeline. And I have a timeline up here just because my computer runs really slow. It runs from 1865 all the way down to 64. So you want to read each of those events. Then we come back to the assignment. We've got some background information, and this is linked here for you. And what this is going to do is actually take you to the infobase that I was talking about. And the infobase has a table of contents here on the right-hand side. So we want to go to background. So I'm going to, as I click that, it will take me to background, and here it is. And I'm going to read this, and then I'm done with that part, and I'm going to come back to the assignment. And then I'm going to watch a video. And this video, it's not really well done, but it does explain pretty well the whole situation with Plessy and Ferguson. And it's only a minute and a half long, so pretty brief. Then you're done for the first day. You've got 3 steps done. However, if you want to move forward, you can and should, so that you can not turn in your work late. Day 2, you're going to read the argument or case 4. Arguments that the Separate Car Act violated Plessy's rights. So if you click here, this is the link that will take you back to the infobase. And I'm going to click here where it says case 4. And then I'm going to read this. And then I'm going to stop there. Then I'm going to go back to my assignment. And after I read this, the case 4, I'm going to summarize this case in 3 to 5 sentences or bulleted points. And I'm going to type them right in here. Excuse me. And then I'm going to write one question I have after reading this case. And you will have a question because you're being graded on it. So you need to come up with something. Day 3 is the same thing almost, except this time you're reading the case against. So if we go here, we just click case against, and it takes us to arguments that the Separate Car Act did not violate Plessy's rights. And you'll read this. And at the same time, on your assignment, you're going to summarize it in 3 to 5 sentences or bulleted points and put that here. Also, write at least one question you have for this particular case. Day 4, it's also the same thing, except this time you're reading the conclusion, which is titled The Aftermath of Plessy versus Ferguson. So we go here and go to conclusion. There it is. We're going to read that, and it's pretty brief. Go back to your assignment, summarize in 3 to 5 bulleted points or sentences, and then a question you might have for the conclusion. The last day, you're going to have an argumentative right. And this is your issue in question. The case of Plessy versus Ferguson came before the U.S. Supreme Court in 1896. Did having to use separate accommodations violate Plessy's rights under the Constitution, or was such a requirement justified as a reasonable use of Louisiana's police powers? What do you believe, and why do you believe it? There is no right or wrong answer as long as you can prove your point. It's right if you can prove it, okay? And you're supporting your own opinion. So here's how I want it to look. Explain why you believe one argument is stronger than the other, citing evidence from above in 1 to 3 complete paragraphs below. So like I said, 1 to 3 paragraphs, and you'll type it right in here. But you want to use evidence from these articles that you've read already. Your grading scale is here. Each day is worth 10 points. So a total of 50 points. If you choose not to do a day, you could lose 10 points. That'll drop you down right to a where's 40? A 2.7. So we want to have the best grades we possibly can. If you get below a 29, that is failing. Okay, so we will go through this in class as well. You can always click here for my recorded directions. I will see you in class.